It is 7:03 PM on Thursday, February 26th, 2026. And I will call the Finance Committee meeting to order. This is a hybrid meeting that is being recorded. I have with me in the room from the Finance Committee, Gar Lewis, Andy Olderman, Peter Twining, and myself, Sarah Melish. We have Dean Nahadas from the Finance Committee on Zoom. The other two members of state. Also in the room is Tony Barletta, the town administrator, and Andrea Mainville, the finance director, and from the school, Ann Harrison from the select board, and from the school district, Pam Bedoin and Michelle Cresta. And I'm sure I pronounced your name wrong.
It's how it was pronounced all growing up. Anytime there was a sporting event, my name was announced. That was the go-to pronunciation. I answer you at all.
So our first item on the agenda is the regional school district operations and capital budget. And I think that certainly one of the things that you may have a presentation ready, which is fine. You can give that, but one of the things I want to make sure we hit on is obviously there was like a 600,000 drop in our appropriation for the budget. So we'd just like to hear why the drop.
Yeah.
Not that we're complaining about it.
Nobody would.
And we might be getting some news by end of the week to share with the school committee that it could potentially go down again.
Okay.
Advise healthcare.
It's my understanding when I looked at your schedule, you're gonna have the final appropriations by March 10th.
They've adopted a budget, so we technically have.
No, but I want the final ones.
We should have that by next week.
Okay,
The final.
yeah. Cause I'm hoping to vote on the school budget on the 12th.
Okay. Yeah.
It's what,
We're gonna report out to them what our brokers tell us.
Yeah.
And we'll see what
happens.
they decide. Yeah. So we didn't come to make a full presentation. We can walk you through, or we can do a Q&A. And most of you have seen the presentation a couple of times already. And nothing has changed really since that February 3rd.
Right.
Budget presentation, and then the following week they adopted that budget.
Okay.
So however you want us to proceed, we can kind of review the top level numbers. We can just jump into a Q&A. We can talk a little bit about, we can jump right in with what's really causing the fluctuation from the December budget to the February budget.
Yeah, let's go over the high level numbers and then what caused, what items would change it.
That.
I have a question. So is it my understanding accurately that the cost of running the schools is $33,853,368?
The general fund cost, yes. We obviously have grants and revolving funds and whatnot.
What's the total cost? That's all right. Never mind.
Like 10 million more than that, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Cause this doesn't include the state funding, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And that does not include, actually, that does not include the capital either.
Yes, that's what it doesn't, yeah.
So let me maybe clarify in case maybe I heard the question wrong. It does include the state chapter 70 funding.
Okay.
What it doesn't include is targeted grants that we get. So we get grants that fall outside our general operating budget because they're targeted for specific purposes. So we have something, we have the IDEA grant, which is the special education grant that runs in the $400,000 range. But it's a special, it has its own separate budget and separate budget sheet. So at the back of our budget, Michelle has a top level budget overview for each of our significant grants. The IDEA grant is its own grant. It's earmarked specifically for special education funding, and we have to account and report on that stuff. So it doesn't intermingle with the operating.
That's about $43,853,000. 43 million, around 43.8 million,
Probably about 40 million.
or about 40 million.
Yes.
And what does that work out to per student?
We don't do that calculation.
I see.
The state does that calculation, and it does it ready for it. It does it a few years behind based on our annual reporting sheet that they send us. That way there they come up with a formula that is applied to all schools the same way. So that you're looking apples to apples. Otherwise, every school would calculate their per pupil expenditure differently. And it's, go ahead.
How many pupils do we have?
1,156,
So if I divide,
including school choice.
if I divide that by 1,156,
That's
I
your
would
per
get
pupil.
a number, but it may not be comparable to other systems.
Or to how the state calculates it.
And approximately, what is that number?
Well,
Thank you.
Anybody have a calculator?
or what
I
was the
do.
last state
The
number?
last state number, I think, let me pull that up, so I'm not just guessing.
I apologize, I'm
No,
up
don't
on a
apologize.
wrong track, maybe.
No, it's a ticket method. Yeah.
35,294,
Okay.
based on 40,800,000.
And the last state number was in the mid-20s. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I've always used to hear. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't use capital, they don't use the grants, they don't use any of that, and that's the calculation.
Right.
And that's not the resident total, that's the total student.
That's for all the kids in there.
All the
Yeah,
kids and all the
correct.
needs. And when you look at, if you went to the per pupil expenditure page that's on the DESI and the DOR site, there are a couple of different numbers they'll give you too. There's your in-district students, and then there's the number with
Yeah.
your out-of-district students.
Oh, yes.
Accounting for the fact that the cost of educating special education students outside the district is usually much more significant than in district. But then there's also a metric for accounting for in-district students in all of the additional services they need above and beyond the general ed student. So it should be simple, but is actually a pretty complicated formula that they use to make the determination.
And this shows-
Yeah.
I'm in favor of education. I used to be a high school teacher, so I'm not raising this as a criticism. Anyway, I'm just curious about how
We
it
don't-
works.
We don't ever take it that way. I just know over the years that in enrollment, those two numbers are presented in multiple ways depending on which reporting mechanism you're looking at, so they can still a lot of confusion. And sometimes people are like shaking their head, why can't this just be a simple, just divide the total number of kids and the total budget? So I mean, that's a fair local metric for us to use.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
No, it's
And
okay.
page
done.
20 of this report, Gar.
Yeah.
Has the breakdown of the enrollment stuff. It shows the sped out and all that stuff.
Thank you.
And the history.
And sir, if you'll permit me to ask Tony a question. Tony, there's no new news or any news on health insurance or insurance. Yeah, okay. Just want to be sure because it seems to be such a driver. So many angst-filled minutes.
Where you guys at right now?
We were asking for alternative structures, plan structures that we could evaluate. And our Maya is benchmarked to GIC.
Mhm.
GIC was, voting on different plan structures on the 12th. That got postponed or they were meeting about it again today. And so we're kind of waiting to see what happens with that, or Maya's waiting to see what happens with that before they give us actual numbers for what to expect. But they've told us to expect to be at the max. And the new range, the max is around 15%, 14.5%, 15%.
And that is that I know these are different.
I think that's about where you are now.
Is that about
too.
where you are on this?
That's where we are now, 14.
The budget that's in front of you is at 14%. We believe it's gonna come in
At 10.
not significantly lower, but yes, lower.
Hoping that it will be in that.
Oh, really? Yes. I was being facetious.
Great.
No,
That's what we're hearing.
we don't want
Okay,
to speak before we can
sure, yeah.
confirm with our committee.
Yeah.
But I think we will be able to bring that number down.
Fantastic. We can use every cent. Yes,
Yeah.
Gar.
I have one more question and then I'll stop.
That's fine.
What would you say our capacity in the system for educating kids versus the number of kids that we actually have in the thing? Do we have more available capacity? And how much is that? And maybe if there's no answer, it's fine. It's no
Actually,
problem.
I have an answer.
Thank you.
So if we look at our facilities and how they were built, using the middle high school as the model, we are built for, on average, about 100 students per grade level. The way that's translated is to like a 60-40 split at the elementary. So we typically run probably between 60 and 80 students per grade level at Memorial School and about 40 to 50 at Essex Elementary. So we're running probably at capacity at some grade levels. We're right around the 100 benchmark. And then we have some lower grade levels. And Memorial School, there was some foresight there and there was some extra space built in, so we can run up to 3 classrooms. So we would fit comfortably at the 60 to 75, 80 mark per grade level. And we're bouncing a little bit around there. When we hit the spike, we were over capacity. So I know we lived for many years with that 1,500 mark, but we were busting at the seams. We didn't have space. We were looking at potentially adding modulars to the middle school. So I would say we're probably just below our just right number, but running closer to where we were at the beginning of the district, right around that 1,200 mark. I say we can go comfortably to 1,250 or 1,300, but then we're looking for more space.
So we might have space for another 100 kids, or 150 kids.
Well, the Memorial,
I'm not asking
I'm just
for-
saying the Memorial School was built with 435
Yeah,
as the design number, and I'm sorry, 335, and we're just at 300 right now.
Okay.
So
so, and then the high school got a little more slack or something.
a little bit more slack. I would say about 100 kids more would fit
Okay.
pretty comfortably.
Okay.
If they land in the right spots.
I
We
get.
worked inside of school, so if they all come in one grade level, we'll be lopsided and looking for some elbow space, but I would say about 5 to 10 per grade level we could accommodate without having to make huge investments or changes.
And Pam, do you get a lot of change from year to year in the lopsided elements that you were referring to?
We got a lot of change as the bubble moved out of the district, so we've been consistently coming down. But overall, we have kids come, they stay, we don't have a lot of transiency. So to a certain degree, we can estimate year to year how it's going to move. What we're keeping an eye on and what we think will move the lever is if there's a real big change in the housing market, which opens up capacity. It doesn't feel like we haven't gone through the period we went through when I first arrived, which was a lot of Linda Crosby was always a wonderful kind of a source on real estate. We had a lot of empty nesters exiting and a lot of new families coming in.
Okay.
We haven't experienced that. And that's why I think we've passed the bubble out without returning as many kids. But what I'm keeping my eye on, where I was going with this, is there's housing developments of different kinds in both towns on the horizon. So that will likely have a positive impact on enrollment, depending on how you look at enrollment. It will add students to our schools. I think the development that's under discussion here, they said 35, 50 students, which is probably
You're talking Shingle Hill?
35
Wow.
units. It's never gonna happen.
Wow.
Soon, right? I mean,
Hard to predict.
Hard to do.
Yeah.
So if it were to come to be, I think there was like a number of 35 to 50 students
Yeah.
potentially. And there's a significant housing development going in Essex,
That's what I thought.
which is gonna look to add 4-bedroom homes. So we should probably.
Is that the 35 unit houses? Yeah,
Mhm.
I saw that.
That's from my 35.
Most of them are 4 bedrooms.
So that will have an impact
where
on.
where is it in?
We were saying- Is it maybe near Apple Street? Is it Pond Street? I don't know.
It'll come to me.
Okay. I just I'd heard about it and then I saw it in the paper recently and I just,
So is your kindergarten class numbers, like the younger kindergarten, first grade, are those
this was-
about where you've seen them over the last few years, they growing or?
Over the last few years, yes, over our historic high, a little bit lower.
First grade looks low.
We're exiting, we had been exiting more kids than we're starting. If you look at it, it's on our site, the MSBA, did an enrollment analysis and looked into the future years. And it has us growing, growing a little bit and then plateauing and then slightly, increasing over the next few years. So coming back to normal.
Imagine Mayor Mamdani and his school system. That would be.
I'll take this one in. Yeah.
How does, for pre-K, is that completely fee-based?
Unless you are in need of services. So the base enrollment there is special education students. So we have a child find obligation starting at age 3. And if the child is in need of services, they're entered into the preschool program, but to defray the cost of the special education services, we've been taking in tuition students.
What's the breakdown? It says there's 35, 38.
Yeah, I think we have 12 special ed, is it 12 special ed students and the remainder? It's 8 to 12 special ed and the
Okay.
remainder are general ed. So our capacity there is going to grow, if we are successful in opening a new Essex Elementary, because we'll be adding 2 pre-K classrooms there. Over the past 3 years, we actually added a 3rd pre-K because there was interest in demand for paying students. So when we get to the 4 classrooms, we should be able to increase the general ed paying population more. I think something to keep on our radar screen, thinking of New York, Mamdani, and some of the conversations that are happening at the State House. I really believe within the next few years, we're going to be looking at universal pre-K. I think there's a solid economic reason for it. It provides not only education, but childcare services for parents. And I'm sorry? Pedagogical. Absolutely. There's a lot of pros to it. And I think there are pilot programs running in smaller cities and more at-risk communities. I think we will eventually be looking at a phase in similar to what they did with kindergarten, when it moved from being voluntary and half day to grant funding to move it to full day. So I would expect that we want to keep an eye on that in terms of capacity going forward, because you're adding 2 grade levels, not just one, because it's 4-year-old to 4-year-old.
What do you charge in relationship to what somebody would pay for daycare? Is that half the cost or less than half the cost?
It's less expensive than private daycare, but it's still pretty expensive.
It's one of the most public school.
Do you have the number?
I don't.
And those kinds of trends, are they all taken into account in terms of the state and the dealing with the new building and so forth? Is that they're all of those trends that you're speaking of, like full day and mandatory pre-K, and is that in the mix?
I think it's a little, not as much as we would like it to be, because they don't want you to overbuild for something that's not real. So they do a projection.
I see.
We haggle with them about their projection, and then that becomes what they call the design enrollment number.
Okay.
What we do report to them is something like the housing development that was on the horizon.
Yes.
So we did push on them to make sure that they accounted for that. So
But they don't necessarily take into account
what could
these
happen?
evolutions of further. Short-sighted.
Yeah, but you look at this history back to 2008
Mhm.
and student population has not been an issue here.
No, I understand that, but
So-
in terms of where the lumps and bumps come, and you were speaking about that,
Mhm.
I was thinking the lumps and bumps that might be generated by some of these changes in terms of
So
We
different,
make sure our
what's the
housing is
day
so
like and so
expensive
forth.
that Families can't afford it.
I say a couple of things, and Andy, you're an expert in this as well. With the building project, they're gonna ask us to do a couple of things. There will be spaces in the building that are kind of swing spaces or flex spaces.
I see.
So they may be a project room right now, but they give you an opportunity if you need to add a grade level. And then they always ask you to, they ask the architects to provide an expansion plan,
I see.
right? So if we know there could be, let's say it's 10 years down the line, this universal pre-K evolution. we would have to have a concept of how you would add to that building to expand it and not have to start all over from scratch. So I think.
So that would be in the mix in
Yeah.
terms of the final design of the Essex building.
Yeah, and then with the Memorial Building Committee, that was something that was very front of mind, because as soon as we had opened the middle high school, that's when we began that big upswing in enrollment. So I think that group was really proactive in ensuring that we had kind of, historically, we would carry 3 classrooms per grade level at each, again, grade K, 1, 2, and 3. And we ensured that there are 3 classrooms per grade level to be used in case we have an enrollment surge. So there is some elbow room there if we grow.
So budget wise. It is 10 years down the road, possibly, but the impact of that to budget, so does the cost of operating pre-K, is it essentially completely funded through fees except for those that are, the 10, 12 students that you mentioned there that are, or does your K through 12 budget supplement the cost of pre-K?
Yes, both.
Both.
Our enrollment for pre-K is roughly a third special education.
Yeah,
Our budget is roughly a third general fund. The rest is supported by fees
by
directly.
fees.
Yes, so it is almost a 1-for-1. It's not
So,
meant to
so
be
if
that
that
way, but
happened
it does.
tomorrow, you'd be looking at another third of the cost of an impact to your,
If we had to stop charging,
yes, that's what I'm at, that's,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
yeah, cost.
If you charge more so that you're covering the costs of the special ed.
We would be
It's
into,
supposed to.
we would be into the 20,000 range at that point. I think we're in the low teens right now, and we're higher than most public schools.
You finished, Star?
I'm done.
They're great questions.
Do you have questions, Peter?
No, they've actually come through with Gar's questions as well as what Tony said about health insurance. So not right now. Thank you.
And that's been the big piece that's moved our budget from where it was in December.
Yeah.
That, and we're able to utilize what they call the circuit breaker funding. So we get reimbursement dollars from the state. So we get paid after we expend the dollars for out of district special education that is excessively high. So we get the money after the fact, and you have 2 years to use that reimbursement in your budget. So when Michelle did the calculations, because we start tentative so early and all the dust settled, she was able to identify an additional 250,000 in circuit breaker that we could put in. So that was the other sizable piece that helped bring it down.
Yeah, so primarily we had the roughly 250,000 in circuit breaker that was received this summer. We had a decrease in this version of the budget for health insurance, 258,000. And we reduced our OPEB contribution by 571,000. So really.
And
that-
essentially that puts together that
those
change.
3 huge changes, but the tentative budget from that high number down to the 3.85% budget that the school committee has already voted, but we do expect that to go lower next year.
Okay, Dean, you have a question?
Yeah, I have 2 regarding the budget. One is regarding the reserves and where they're coming from, why we keep having all this reserve money, and what percentage reserves do we have remaining? So that was the first one. And then the second one is on the OPEB, that, we're using a 300K flat OPEB contribution, but what percentage of the OPEB are we not funding, or are we funding it? Those are the 2, budget source questions.
And maybe you can explain how you were calculating the OPEB contribution in the past, because it's different than what the town did.
Go for it. You wanna try the OPEB?
You want to try the?
Try the OPEB. That's a unique one, let me tell you.
See if I can do it in a simple way. So 2015, we renegotiated our healthcare plan with the association. And at that time, we agreed to put the savings from what we would be paying for the plan in 2015, the savings that we we got from reorganizing the plan in 2016. The difference between the old plan and the new plan would become the annual OPEB contribution. So every year we're talking about the percentage increase in the premium. That percentage increase is also increasing that annual OPEB contribution. So we've been able to do quite well. And it's continued to escalate. So if we, in the beginning, we were depositing about 300 to 400,000 from the Delta in the first years, we were coming up to this year, $800,000. So as a way to make a direct cut to the budget, but still continue our obligation to fund OPEB, we proposed the concept to a school committee that you hold the annual contribution flat at 300,000 as a match to the 700,000 in interest that our trust fund's making now, for an annual growth number of $1 million. And we take the reduction to the budget to help reduce the overall cost. It was a way to reduce costs without reducing program. It slows full funding. If it slows us to the date of full funding, but I think we're still making good annual progress. So what we'll likely talk about, if we do realize the better number we're hoping to hear or get from our broker, is should we raise that 300 to this year?
I wondered, yeah.
You know, so I think that's going to be part of our debate next week of what or do you lower the use of reserves? So we've kind of got those two levers to re-examine if we get somebody.
And Dean's second question, where are we on terms of reserves?
Answer that.
I'm sure it's hidden in these pages, so.
Yes and no. So our E&D was just certified at 1.19 million. Just this week.
We
And
use a different terminology
you
here.
use free cash here, I'm sorry. In a
Thank you.
regional school, it's
Thank
called excess and deficiency. In a town, it's
Okay.
called
Oh,
free cash.
thank
Same exact calculation, same exact theory, same exact concept. Just called two different things. So yes, so we just had our E&D certified 1.19 million. And our stabilization fund is just over $1 million as well. So roughly our reserves are $2 million at this point. Just a little over 2 million. And as a percentage of the budget, that is 5.2% right now. Last year, we passed a policy aiming to have our reserves roughly in the 8% target range. With the use of this free cash and use of our stabilization fund for the feasibility study, as well as a couple other projects, it has brought it down to roughly 5.2%.
So it's gone from 8 down to 5.2.
Yes.
And just one follow-up on that. Do we have to meet a certain percentage to get favorable bonding for the new Essex Elementary School? Do they look at this number to see if we're a healthy organization, I guess is the concern.
They will look at our number. They rely more heavily on the town's numbers, believe it or not. So the financial position of the two towns will impact that bond rating more than the districts, as long as we are not in disarray, which we are not. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Dean.
I think we have been throwing the caution flag on the reserves though, because what we modeled for the school committee was if we hold our reserve usage flat for the next few years, we're probably looking at our total reserves coming down to about the 4% range. If we assume that we have yet to ever spend through all of our budget, we usually end up about 1% in the black at the end of the year and can return that. That 1% would be equivalent to 50% of the reserve. So we've modeled out if we use 50% of the allocated reserves and return it at the end, we can get to 2029 before we have to have some type of a correction for the fact that there won't be enough money to continue to lower assessments by adding E&D. So it gives us a few years to figure some things out.
Question, Sarah.
Go ahead, Amy.
Was it last year we lost the facilities director? Steve is still there. Yeah, it was excellent. And are you adding somebody back or?
We aren't at this time.
Okay.
I think we've assessed that the model is working quite well with Steve. What we're trying to find is more boots on the ground support for him. Where we have the deficit, that's where we have the deficit of need. It's not in the more of the managerial piece. It's just enough hands to go around. We just haven't been successful finding anyone to do the work. So other than that, I think the model has been streamlined and actually working quite well. I mean, Steve's just wonderful.
Yeah.
And he's really doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
What we might need to look at when Essex opens up, and I think something we're just kind of brainstorming around is the changing nature of facilities management and its tie back to tech management, because so many of the systems have a tech nature about them. And that's something Steve has picked up on, and he's been explaining to us as well as kind of where we might see a need in the future. So, you know, looking 3 to 5 years out, just kind of remodeling, is there some type of a combined role that is combined facility, network facility, safety? Even our safety tools are all very heavily technology based. So what kind of, how does that going to evolve in the future? I think we feel comfortable right now, but with another new building, with new systems coming online, maybe 3 to 5 years we continue.
Yeah. If you know, for what it's worth, my comment would be, you know, if you find the right person, otherwise they tend to be like two different camps. You know, the facilities, building management system kind of folks, and then the IT folks. Yeah.
If we could find a bridge person, it would kind of be, it would be
It would
interesting.
be,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, but more Steves.
More Steve.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, at some point, the more hours we have Steve spending on managerial issues, the less he can actually do hands-on. So it's more of the hands-on we need.
Yeah. And I think it's a particularly important topic given the age that the building is coming into, you know, where you're starting to have to do more replacements and repairs. So, yeah.
He's incredibly proactive and he's really good at catching things before they get too far, but you know, it's amazing to believe that we are, you know, we've been in that building now for 16, 17 years.
Do you see significant curriculum changes coming in the next, I don't know, 3 to 5 years? I mean, and therefore the nature of the kind of teachers you need. And I mean, I'm hearing you speak about that in terms of physical structure. Is that in terms of the curriculum generally?
Be here all night on this one. Yes, but I don't foresee them being something that has a significant direct cost. I think the nature of teaching in curriculum is changing. And I think the nature of teaching is going to be more about bringing the human connection and human value in coaching and leveraging technology tools to assist us in some of the more mechanical work. We are going through curriculum changes, but it's really about evolving our practice in our pedagogy to meet the needs of the kids that are in front of us today. Kids change faster than we do.
Well, that's a little bit why I'm asking the question. I can see the kids changing very quickly. And part of this issue is relationships and that matter.
And that's where we're trying to, so that's not a large price tag. It's really kind of a retraining ourselves to address the need for performance.
And
So
therefore is our training material, our training budget sufficient?
We were just talking about that this afternoon. I can foresee us wanting to invest more training dollars. I think that's something we can do with shifts in our budget. So I'm not seeing significant direct added costs like we need, you know, an additional $500,000 to take on this initiative. I do see some incremental growth and shifts from different areas of the budget into PD. So the PD piece is really about helping teachers find their way forward. And a lot of it it's really through training, development, patience, time, in coaching. So I appreciate the question. I'm not seeing a huge outlay. But we will signal it if that changes. I think our huge outlays really are coming, but we put them in a cyclical buying pattern. It will be through technology. And eventually with the building it'll be 25 years old in 2034. We're trying to keep up with technology infrastructure, but my assumption is things like science labs, tech labs, the technology infrastructure that's in the walls will need a significant upgrade at that point.
Roughly 34-ish.
2034, yeah. That's kind of the midpoint.
Sorry, yeah.
How many hours do you devote to teacher development per teacher?
There's no set number per teacher per year. If you wanted to use a set number, I'd say we've got 10 early release days. That
Okay,
gives us about 2.5 hours.
okay,
And then we have a couple of full days. I would say depending on the grade level or the discipline area and the targeted work we're doing in a particular year, you could have a group getting 20 to 40 hours in a year and a group getting kind of the standard 10 release day collaborative work in curriculum building. Right now, we're looking and we're working with a DESE backed group. It's called TNT, and we're doing a pretty deep analysis of our middle school literacy approach. So right now, that's where we're spending some PD dollars on having some external consultants come in and lead us through some exercises and help us do some reviews. So that we're spending about $25,000 to $35,000 on that. But that's almost rolling money. It's like a different project every year.
That's, okay.
So it's not like we've added a funding source specifically for that. So that's an area that's getting a lot of attention. We're also doing a math review, so their numbers will be higher. We're not required to give a specific number.
okay, yep.
Differentiated, I think would be the word. Differentiated based on need and project.
Other question?
That's a great question.
If the budget comes in as voted and so forth, will Essex need an override?
They haven't stated definitively that they will.
I was just wondering if there's no indication that you're.
It doesn't seem to be this year as big a potential issue as perhaps it was a few years ago.
Yeah,
I think the numbers aren't as high. The delta, I don't
Delta.
think is as high. I think they were talking 200,000. I don't know what they were talking.
I mean, they didn't say no, but they didn't, it
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be, there doesn't seem to be the same sense of urgency and concern around it. But I don't know that it's off the table.
no, I don't hear the background.
I don't think
Yeah.
they were far enough along in their budget process, like we weren't.
Mhm.
To really give a sense. I mean, certainly with the first budget that came out,
Mhm.
my sense was we'd need an override, but then with the reduction, it seems like we're working our way through it, so the override's off the table.
I mean, we've been doing this a long time. It's so frustrating, the timeline of healthcare. Because it does force you to start conservative and go with the numbers that the experts are giving you. And you hope that it'll follow the annual process of coming down, but you never really know how much it's going to come down. So I feel like we start in December. We start in the same place every time, knowing and hoping it's going to be lower and waiting we start early, so we're not waiting till the end, but we're always waiting till the end because the number doesn't get
Well,
finalized.
interestingly for us this year, the increase in our budget is 40,000 less than the increase that the school is telling us we have. Because when we did our budget last year,
Oh, okay.
we didn't have the final lower number when we went to town meeting.
That's right, yeah, yes.
So we're showing an increase of 605, I think, and I think they're saying 645. Right? Am I right, Andrew?
You're right.
So that means we have that extra 40,000 to go to free cash.
Or year-end transfers. You know, the snow and ice is kind of crazy.
Imagine how much easier all of this would be if we had universal health care in our country. You wouldn't have to even talk
I know.
about this.
Well, who thought going into education that I never imagined I would know so much about the healthcare system and be spending so much time on everything
Sure.
from plan design to
Crazy.
premium increases.
So-
it's fascinating, but it's unfortunate that it takes so much.
So I'll say the difference there's no comparison between what I paid for health insurance in private industry
Mhm.
and what I pay for health insurance under Medicare. It's the difference is astronomical, so I'm
Absolutely.
not convinced that universal health care will help anyone.
I think a midway
Over
step for
10,000.
schools would be to have the entire state mandated into the GIC. Like just have all,
Oh,
just-
yeah,
just like we have MTR, all the teachers have to be in MTRS, you have to be in GIC, or whatever they designate as the state program. That would save the locals a lot of time and energy,
yes.
because
yeah.
they could bargain it on the
Yeah.
state or regional level.
And therefore have more persuasive power in the bargaining. Okay.
Has that been a topic in the State House or?
We have our regional meetings and we bring up lots of ideas and
Yeah.
it hasn't gotten anywhere yet. I would love to see regional teacher contracts too, for the same purpose.
Yeah.
Regional cost of living.
Superintendent.
Right.
No.
We already have a really superintendent.
No.
Honestly, I don't take it as a joke. I think it would be I think it would be progress if we went to more of a county system similar to other states.
Or France.
We got rid of our counties.
Yes, we did.
I can't remember when that was, but yeah, they used. to
Many
be
years
stronger.
ago.
Yeah, yeah.
There's such wonderful value in being able to make local decisions, but there are a lot of local decisions that if we could scale to the region, I think it could be a little bit more efficient and more time focused on the pedagogy and the teaching and the instruction and less sometimes on the business side, but that's going anywhere.
We won't hold that right. Tony, do you have any questions? I know a regional school district budget is different for you.
It's not that far different. I mean, I did have just one small question on page 10 where it talks about the change on the staffing for facilities and maintenance. Is that what you were, is that what you were talking about?
Yeah.
That double, that 2 stars there, like, staffing level and the increase on the total cost? Is that what that refers to?
A little bit, it just triggered a general question.
Mm.
I know, you guys are always managing those things, and so I was just curious.
I think I still see that as an area where we could explore kind of a regional approach, so if you're in a single town municipality, sometimes DPW takes care of the maintenance and custodial work in the school.
Yeah.
So as we're always trying to explore ways to find efficiencies and streamline things, is that an area where we could somehow collectively, the 3 entities come together and create some type of a system that could work for everyone? I mean, we do it de facto. I mean, the team is great, like in a snowstorm, everybody's at the ready and very easy to access and communicates really well, so we have it. It's not like that on paper, but I think people work pretty well collaboratively.
Do you have townspeople parking in the school parking lot during snowstorms?
Not officially, but you certainly could use it if you had to turn the.
No, I'm just wondering if you're seeing people parking there or not. No. Of course, you went to school, so you didn't know.
I drove by 2 storms ago. There was no one there.
Oh, okay. Well, our blue lights just went off at 6 o'clock today. Yeah.
And I didn't see anyone in there either when I.
It's not really been, like, I'm sure the
It's
neighbors
not on
must
the
move in
list.
there if they're trying to clear and,
Yeah.
we welcome that, but if it's a helps when the blue lights are on. If we're not in session, that's definitely a great place for you guys.
As long as our lots.
It doesn't,
As long as
usually
they're
pretty
clear, yeah.
it's appreciated, but I don't think it does help because. Our once that storm is done, our next top priority is getting you guys ready for school, getting sidewalks and parking lots or whatever done, and to be dealing with people who are parked there and getting them out in order to do that would probably end up making it harder, to be honest.
Well, I don't see complaints on social media, people not being able to find places to put their cars.
I haven't seen anything like that, so it doesn't even seem like we really have the need.
There's a lot out here. Except for the ones that have been in town parking lot for 3 storms.
We do have the
No,
summer,
I
we have
wanted
the
to
summer.
put like
market.
a, send the cops to like, is this person okay? This farm has moved in 3 months.
Well, there's a truck that's been at Tux Point
Um,
from Idaho or someplace that's been so snowed in. I mean, it's.
That's usually
I think, yeah, that's the caretaker for Baker's Island.
bakers.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny.
So one question about special education, is the percentage of special education needs, percentage, and then of number of students, is that changing much in terms of the overall? That a ever rising number? Which is the way I read it, but I'm not sure that's a true picture. Or is it, or is the specialization, the offsite cost? I mean, can you give me a little feel about where special education is going here? Or is that a mystery on a mystery?
It's just on an upward trajectory. Yeah. I mean, I think our identification number hovers right around the state average, so we're somewhere between 19 and 21%. I was talking to a colleague today, they're up to 28%. I think it's the cost that is on an ever upward trajectory. So
So it's really not a, it's the percentage change is in the speed of the cost increase.
There's the identification number, which is relatively steady,
Mhm.
and then there's the cost of the placements,
Mhm.
which is
I see.
skyrocketing. And then the complexity of the placements, the residential placements, transportation associated with distant placements. It's so individualized. We're going to give a presentation to the legislators tomorrow. Where the superintendents in the North Shore just again advocating for the out of district portion in our mind should be a state level program where the state is funding directly those out of district placements. That's again another place where there's greater leverage. I mean, we carry a legal budget.
More out of state, I'm out of district rather than out of.
We have a pretty solid 20-25 students who are out of district, so our number is relatively low compared to some of our neighbors. But it's the cost of the placement because of the complexity of the issues. And then a lot of them can become litigious because we're always trying to provide the service for the student, but also be mindful of the budget. So we have a lot of recommendations about how special education could be overhauled to make it more cost effective. Not have the schools carry the total burden of the entire out of district placement, because there's the educational component, but in a lot of these placements, you also have medical need, a psychological need, maybe some type of healthcare issue associated with the disability. The child is entitled to and needs those services, but they are far beyond just providing an educational environment. So we're trying to work with the state. I think we're going to see some movement and some review in some of the special ed regulations over the next few years, because if there are a couple of things that are universals, whether you're a rural or a suburban or a city district, and the cost of special education and special ed transportation is one of those universals. Because those are dollars, particularly those out of district dollars, are just coming right out of our school budgets and going to private placements. And the only way to really battle that rapid increase is to directly increase the size of your budget. And we're always trying to keep our budgets growing at a modest rate. So something's always got to give. So a lot of times we're making in-district reductions to fund the out-of-district costs. So
My question is driven a little bit by my ignorance, which is the circuit breaker.
Yep.
Because I relate that rightly or wrongly to special education, particularly out of district placement.
Yep.
Now, I thought maybe there was some change going on in terms of the number of kids, or as I think you call it, the identification.
Yeah.
But that may not be the case. I mean, the circuit breaker changed a bit, and that was part of your funding change, right? In terms of the changes here.
Yes.
Delayed.
But it's not related to necessarily the number of kids that have.
Well, it's delayed, right?
It's delayed and
It's just a
related.
2-year.
You qualify for circuit breaker if the out-of-district placement cost, the tuition cost, is over a certain amount of money. That triggers the circuit breaker.
So you had more of those.
So like it's
over.
$100,000 placement or
Right,
$100,000.
so roughly, just in rough numbers.
Yeah.
The district is responsible for the first 50,000.
Okay.
Anything above that, that's not the exact threshold, but that's the approximate threshold. Anything above that, the state will then contribute a certain percentage of the tuition. It's usually in the 78% ballpark, but we get that 2 years later. It has to be used within another 2 years. And then recently, right before COVID, they put in, the legislature put in a change where transportation is now also reimbursable
Yes.
to a certain extent
Within
the threshold, but that's limited to the state's capacity and the number of claims they receive. So that's what that 250,000 was. All of a sudden, at the end of the year, they're like, oh, we have extra transportation money. We'll give it to you. It hit this
The
summer.
percentage changes. Is that what changes basically?
Yes, so right now, because the state added more funding to their circuit breaker pot, we're getting the full funding available for our tuition piece, and then whatever's left over goes to the transportation piece. So those,
Are you guys speaking about that too with legislators?
Yeah, so you'll hear, I mean, I'm sure you've heard over the years, we're advocating for full funding of circuit
Yeah,
breaker, because sometimes they short the money,
Right,
but
they
you
don't fully
don't get
fund
the full amount you're supposed to. So it's helpful, but it's not reliable.
yes,
And you're still having to budget and carry the full cost of it. And then you're getting it back in chunks of reimbursement down the line. So we don't want it to go away. We want them to streamline it, and that would be another place where we're at.
And make it direct.
Direct pay. There was just a headline in the Boston Globe on that, and that's what they're talking about. Like, just pay our transportation costs, just pay the tuitions directly.
right, pay that percentage.
Monitor them. So the agency that's setting the rates on the private school is separate from the group that's running the circuit breaker. So the whole thing is pretty fragmented. Again, we don't want it to go away. We want them to increase the funding and what the threshold is. So when they will enter and offer funding. They don't make it simple either. It's horrible to try to
Don't make
explain
it simple.
Do we have to pay for education for a certain subset of students up to age 23, or is that coming out of the state?
No.
Okay,
We can. Through 22.
through age 22, okay.
Yeah, if you're identified for special education, it's age 3 to 22.
And do we have people
In that
in the
category,
18 to 22 category?
We do.
and the education in that case might be.
It's typically, I would say for us, the typical 18 to 22-year-old is on the severe special needs side, and it's life skills and transition, helping them develop a plan and have some life skill basic education so they can transition to either group home living or semi-independent.
And that's an out of district place.
Right now, it is out of district because we don't have enough students to make a cohort here or really the right facilities to build in program.
And my last question, or maybe not last question, maybe, I don't promise you. Transportation, I'm hitting the major categories. Buses, and I assume that's athletic buses and normal day-to-day. Is that world changing at all? I mean, you're still required to, people take buses. I mean, I see lots of cars all over the place, but I don't know.
The only significant change with busing is the cost, basically. The trajectory is just going sky high. The lack of
That's the highest
drivers.
percentage as a category in terms of. your
Yeah,
budget.
the lack of drivers since COVID has been astounding. Our contract, we have been under a 5-year contract with Salter, our current provider, for regular ed transportation. And that contract expires at the end of the school year. So we are going out for a new contract. They are telling us our cost is a little bit under where it should be. So we're expecting a larger, so we built it in.
That's encouraging.
Yeah.
I love that expression.
The good news is I have had a couple new companies show interest. Previously, it had just been 1 or 2 people companies you're getting bids from. Now I've actually been in touch with 2 new companies that are interested in our business. So I'm hoping there's some good competition, which will result in some good
Your
prices.
kids take the bus?
They
It's a
do.
good question.
So
Yes.
as the cost of transportation goes up, do you increase the fee for those who are using the bus within the?
We're increasing the fee by 2.5%. The portion of the fee, it's so minimal. It really does not impact our transportation budget. The total we budget for revenue is roughly $10,000. Our contract is hundreds of thousands of dollars, so $10,000 is a drop in the bucket. Really doesn't have too much of an impact on those.
Just for reference,
Yeah.
we're required to, as a regional, to transport all of the students except within, is it a mile and a half?
Yes, a mile and a half.
And so we can only charge kids who really don't need the bus. Who
Right.
want to take the bus. So it just doesn't produce a large
Right.
number of heads
Yes.
who are signing up.
As a regional school, we're required. If we were a regular municipal school, we would not have to.
And we could even stop busing after grade 6. but-
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's just, I think the assumption being you're a larger geographic footprint, so you need to provide access to.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
Have we considered, electric buses?
We have,
Okay, just
Yeah.
curious. I'm not saying we
we've
have to
been
do it or.
taking some meetings in hopes that we could have gone in that direction with the new contract. I think we got some very interesting advice from advocates of electric buses, which is this may not be the time to get in.
Yes.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. Did you say,
We were pursuing, knowing that the
Yes, I
contract
heard
was
that.
coming in.
The
We were
advice you
speaking to
got
someone who was
was,
an advocate of electric buses and advising that maybe this isn't the best time to get in because of all of the fluctuation in regulation, the rebate programs, that the cost of it may not be beneficial at
The
this
cost of an
point.
electric bus opposed to a diesel bus is roughly 2 to 2.5 times more. So it's significant when you look
And
at the
the
life.
tax credits are tougher.
The tax credits are tougher, exactly. The grant programs are there, but they're limited.
uh-huh.
And the life of a bus roughly is about 10 years.
Funny, I thought you were gonna say technology, but whether, because I was hearing that the COA, the Council on Aging buses don't go the whole day.
Electric buses.
Yeah, and I was just curious whether you'd say the technology is not there to make them
But they've
be.
got a long time to recharge.
Of course they do. They have the morning and-
Morning and afternoon,
They
yeah.
could recharge. We would have some athletic trips we wouldn't be able to cover with electric buses, and therefore with our contractor, we were talking providing diesel buses for those instances. So it's a variety, but primarily right now it's the cost that is probably keeping us on the diesel track.
In her indication that it's so unpredictable what would happen to some of these tax breaks and rebates and incentive programs on any given day. So
Right.
You want consistency?
I love consistency.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else?
Yeah, general question.
You said you were done.
I know, but this is a wrap-up question.
Okay.
Are you satisfied with the education that your program is providing? That's it. Never mind. Yeah.
So you know me well enough. I'm never satisfied.
Thank you.
And there's always more for us to do. I think we have a group, we have a wonderful staff, very talented, very committed to the kids, and we do produce a really strong program. I think we are wrestling with what I said earlier. How do we move as fast as the kids move? So I think that's just the chronic struggle, which is we're very good at finding the problem and we want to solve them. We're not always so good at celebrating our successes. So I think we are getting a really quality product, but it's not good enough. It can always be better.
Good.
Dean, do you have any more questions of Pam or Michelle? I'll give you one last opportunity.
No, I'm all set. I support
Okay, thanks.
school budget, yeah.
You gave us a lot of your time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, for coming.
Well, it is $34 million.
Yeah, I know. Fair enough. We'll take good care of.
The finance committee, at our last meeting, the finance committee made a lot of comments about how pleased they are that you guys attend these meetings and that it's a good relationship that we have with you, and wanted you to know that they're appreciative of you guys coming to these meetings and walking through the budget with us.
That was a secret, Tony.
This is one of our favorite meetings.
They should know.
And I just want to say, I'll say in public session, another thanks to the DPW and the safety personnel. They were really helpful during the storm and helping advise on Tuesday. We really wanted to get in, but we kind of, I knew, you can tell.
Yeah.
Just when we get hit like that it just takes a little bit of time, but everyone was really great. We
Yeah.
really appreciate it.
Good.
So, thank
Yeah,
you.
it's tough winter.
When does school get out?
Oh, we're into the next week. I have to look at the calendar.
It must be into the third week
I
of
think
June.
it's June
Yeah.
23rd
Is it
at
really?
this point.
Yeah.
It's either the 23rd.
And there's that holiday that pops up in there.
Juneteenth.
I have a feeling we're gonna get another one too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Another oh,
Snow day, oh, that's it.
I know.
oh, another snow day or another holiday?
No, I think I just have a feeling.
Well, Tuesday they're back down now.
They back down. Good.
But they could go up again.
April 1st, we
At
lost
one point it was 17 inches
Yeah.
at Tuesday and now
Oh,
it's
no.
down to under 2 inches.
I'm glad I didn't hear that.
That makes me nervous.
I know.
That's what happened with
This last
Sunday
one.
night. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be over here. Oh, no,
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah.
thank you very
No,
much.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
We're happy to come anytime, answer questions. Maybe we'll have a good update in the spring on the ESSER building project. That's chugging right along and
Yep.
it's a great group working on it, so.
Yeah, I think one of our concerns will be how it's funded. When you end up taking out the long-term bonds,
Yeah,
because we're looking to push things out.
We have communicated that to Hilltop, and I think they're gonna be ready to do some modeling with us
Yes.
in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
So we can, they won't be definitive, but they can start to talk about what options.
And I hope that if you have members, if you have somebody from the Essex Finance Committee, I hope you invite somebody from the Manchester
Of course,
Finance
Yeah,
Committee,
we're-
because I read something that in Mr. Zubricky's report saying there'd been a meeting with the Essex Finance Committee and the, I don't know, this was several months ago, on the funding for the school.
no meeting, we're trying to set up a meeting.
I saw your email.
I'm communicating with Tony and Brendan, and then we will make sure everybody who needs to be represented.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll get out of your way then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
That's a big backpack.
I don't go anywhere without it.
Watch out for your scarf. It's dragging.
Thank you.
Is that your water?
I can work anywhere. Yes. Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Bye.
Thanks.
So that's it. Just kidding.
So now, we've talked a lot about capital. We've talked about the individual projects. Tonight, I don't want to talk about the individual projects. What I'd like to do is to kind of talk about the funding for the 27, the projects that are on the list for fiscal year 27 and the impact of future projects and what the impact is to the tax rate. Once we've done that and figured out the impact, then after that, if we felt it was too expensive and we need to go back and delete something, that would be later. Does that make sense?
Sure.
And we're not gonna so we're not gonna discuss individual projects tonight.
Okay. And we're working from,
Yeah, so this front page eliminates the requested capital that was not included in our recommended
Oh, good, okay,
amount. So let's
so we're not confused.
get that, sweep that off. And then what Andrea did here was organized it based on funding source. So first you have taxation and then fund balance, borrowing, capital exclusion. And enterprise.
And the taxation takes us up to the 2.5 plus the excess levy limit? Okay,
Less the 20,000 that's floating around.
less the what?
20,000 we still have available.
Okay.
So page 1 and page 2 marry together. Now, when I look at page 2, which begins to have some of the effect on the tax rate,
Right,
it
So-
assumes, it assumes what you've done on page 1.
only for the borrowing. So page 2, I've just.
True enough,
borrowing.
yeah, but that's what I want to check in on.
And the fund balance we're using, what we have available, that looks low to me, the number.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit more than what we have available.
Okay,
using, So it'll be
What
like
do we have
7%
available?
or so instead of 8% target.
What do we have available in the fund balance?
It's about $190,000.
That's what it's.
If you
but
wanna
we're
keep-
gonna add some in at the
Yeah.
end of the year, because we're gonna save money. The 40,000 excess from the school.
Unless we need it for, no.
Well, no, still, because we can run snow over to next year.
You can if you want to, but then you're gonna reduce your free cash and have to
Oh,
raise
that's
it on
right.
the
I keep
tax rate.
forgetting that. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So all of your bonds, you're assuming 20 years,
Yes.
and why are we using 20 years? Just gotta-
It's kind of like the average. It's, for any of these projects, they're usually 20 years. Originally for PFAS and water systems, I had 30.
Yeah,
Because that's normally standard for those types of projects. But when I was talking to Chuck the other day, if we go to SRF, they usually do 20.
okay,
So I updated it to 20 years
Okay.
there.
Does that also relate to the useful life of the asset?
Yes, it's supposed to. Supposed to.
Yeah.
But historically here, we've always tried to go on as early as we can. So like, if our useful life is, 15 years, we'll try and do 10
Right.
for the borrowing.
Short, as short
Yeah.
as we can.
Yes, yeah. So that's what I've kind of done here. So like on this page 2, under project, I put the authorized, so that water and sewer upgrades is that 7.55 that we've already authorized. Last town meeting, so we've already banned the 4.1. We're expecting to ban the 3.4 this June. So I've included those payments as well, and then we assume in FY 28 we'll have the full bonding on the tax rate
for both.
for both.
So you're not bonding the water upgrades until 28?
Correct.
Okay.
Because I wanted for the water upgrades,
Yeah,
part of that like capital assessment that was added to the water bills is supposed to go for 3 years. So I have proposed in here 271,000 of the meter fees that we've received so far to pay down that ban.
okay,
And then I'm gonna be doing that next year and the year after.
okay,
And then going down, the proposed authorizations for FY 27, there's the PFAS for the 16.5. Rotunda is down to 2 million now. Central Street culvert for the 5 million. Hopefully we don't need it. We'll find out about the grants soon.
Well, no, we haven't even applied for MVP yet. It won't
We
be.
did the first part of it, right? The 2.0.
Yeah, we did our expression of interest. The application will be submitted in March. But then it'll take a few months for them
so we
to,
won't know about it before time.
unlikely.
Okay.
No,
And going back to Rotunda at 2 million. That's making all the contribution is that from CPA that we've discussed and so forth.
Yeah,
That's what
so-
brings it down to 200,000.
Right.
They went up to 350.
yes, total project cost is 3.6 million. We already have 800,000 in the general fund. We already have 500,000 in CPC, and then CPC is gonna give us another 350, and that brings it down to about $2 million.
Okay.
What a deal.
Yeah, what a deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then dredging. There's a
Why, I'm a little concerned about using 20 years on dredging. If we dredge every 40 years and we're doing it in sections every 10?
In theory.
Right. So I don't understand why you wouldn't bond for 10 years.
I could put it in for 10.
I mean,
Well, Sarah, I have a question.
go ahead, Dean.
Wouldn't the length of the bond depend on how much the waterway fund can contribute to it? Because, I mean, we were promised that it would be paid for by all this transient docking. So it's gonna depend on how much income comes from that to fund the bond.
No, I agree that once again, the amount on our capital list is the appropriation we need to go out to bid. It doesn't mean that we necessarily actually end up needing the full bond amount, but at this point, we just need to make that assumption so we're conservative.
So
I would only approve such an assumption if the prior guarantee were made that the payments would be coming from the harbor department.
I don't think, I disagree with you, Dean. I don't believe there was that guarantee made. It's my understanding from what Maury said to me that a dredging fee was added to everyone with a mooring. Is that correct, Ann?
I don't know about everybody.
Oh,
It's me.
There's an assessment, and that's part of the waterway funds that I'm
It's on
talking
my
about.
bill.
yeah.
And it's
But I don't think that was started soon enough to fully pay for this first round of dredging is the
I
challenge.
think last year was the first time I paid it. I think.
Yeah.
So it's pretty clear that this harbor docking stuff is not going to be able to pay for the dredging. Then is what it sounds like. Because we're doing a separate assessment to pay for it.
I think it's just too early to say. I think that it could contribute to the debt, but I don't know if we can reasonably say that it's gonna cover it all at this point.
Right. No, I know. So that,
But I think Dean's asking a broader question. If we can't say that, is it our longer term view that is our goal? In other words, is our intent, even though not able to do it now, to have that happen as the fees are collected over a longer period of time, as well as the transient fees?
I don't know how the dredging fees were calculated. I don't know the assumption used to come up with dredging fees.
Can you help us,
I'm not-
Andrea? No?
No, I'm not familiar with how the amount came to be.
Okay.
Yeah,
I do account for it separately, but wasn't part of how the amount was decided.
and I don't think
So I had
that,
that impression too, but I knew we couldn't do it currently because we
yeah,
just didn't have that revenue. But I didn't know if the longer term, that was what we were trying to achieve.
think that transient fees were specifically pointed towards covering dredging. They were supposed to be covering
Yes,
harbor
absolutely.
expenses.
Yes. Maybe I made the assumption wrongly so, but I thought there was a longer term effort to get to the point
Could
where
be,
those
yeah.
fees.
I mean,
on the harbor regulations, the dredge assessment, I think, was $2.50 a foot for the boats. So if someone has a 20-foot boat, it would be a $50 dredge assessment.
I pay about $75 and that mathematics would work for my boat.
That's not very much.
No, it's not.
No.
No, it's not. But I didn't know if should we look at, is it our goal? Should we look at the fee? Should we look at
Right.
how that's calculated?
Right.
I mean, I think that's my suggestion.
Mhm.
Because I think it's a worthy thing to do to have that be our longer term intent.
I think certainly, I don't own a boat, so I'm saying this as a non-boat owner. From what I hear, I certainly feel that the fees we're charging for somebody using a mooring are probably a relatively small portion of their total cost to own a boat.
And
And
that's quite true.
Significantly less than if one pays to be at a pier.
It's priceless.
So it seems like there might be room.
But I'm expressing a view, at least as one member, that I think we should look at those fees with the understanding that it is our goal in the longer term from these various sources to have that cover to the extent absolutely possible what the dredging, the total cost of the harbor, including the dredging. But because I have no idea how that 250 was arrived at.
Yeah, and I don't know,
Yeah.
not knowing that before committing to that goal, I mean, that could turn that fee into a large number
And
and,
it could,
you
and
know,
that's,
so,
so we ought to look at it again, but
yes,
I.
yeah, agreed.
Simply trying to put forward what the intent is and testing that by asking you all, is that a subject to, I mean, if it comes in a giant number, it's just crazy, but right now, I think that the mooring fee is
I think
quite
it's very-
modest, actually.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the details. I think
Yes,
it's a
it
good
does.
goal to have, but it comes down to exactly how it would
Yes.
all work together.
So I'm trying to support what Dean is saying, that in the longer run, that would be our intent, to look at these things with the hope that they would pay for the dredging also.
As long as it's clear that it's a hope at this point.
That's it. But I think we ought to look at the
And
fee
not a-
and look
not a
at what that
commitment.
fee would need to
Yeah.
be for that to be
Yeah.
the
Yep.
case.
Agreed.
I agree, along with all, any capital, just in general, not just dredging, but capital, harbor capital as well.
New boats.
Well, can I?
Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead, Dean.
It wasn't a hope, it was a promise made by the harbor master, to pay for the dredging with all this Reed Park business. But he's made several promises before and it's hard to make
Go
these.
there, Dean.
What I wanted to say was I wanted to question what we're going to gain from this dredging, because with sea level rise seems to be rising faster than siltation. And if we're not getting any new moorings or anything,
Yeah.
what is the dredging?
We're
So
not,
it's just a matter of questioning the expense from. the
no,
beginning.
we're not discussing the projects tonight. We're
Okay.
discussing the funding. Next week, you can discuss the project.
Okay. Yep.
Okay?
Very good. Yep. Okay.
And
Uh,
unrelated, have we asked Andrea to look at a 10-year bond instead of a 20?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yes.
I wrote that down,
I'd like that too, yeah.
I just
Yeah.
think that makes sense. Because if we're dredging every 10 years,
Mhm. Yes, I agree.
though we hadn't dredged for years, but
Then we can,
our first
Next
dredging
bond
was
could be
less than
longer.
10 years
Yeah.
ago, I hope. So it seems like it
Yes.
was less than 10 years, but they always do things in pre and post COVID and, COVID is almost 10 years ago.
That way.
Creeping up there.
The next is Tappan Street.
Mhm.
And so then I totaled that because that's town related items, right? And then below that, I put an estimate for the Essex Elementary School. I know it's very early, but it's a significant change, so I did include that in the out years. And then going below funding sources, I put possible different funding sources. So there's the taxation within Prop 2.5, there's taxation outside Prop 2.5. The water capital fee, I still haven't estimated for 27 or 28 what I think we might be able to pay down for the ban, but I'll update that. The available funds, that 17,000 is premium that we received on the ban, that we have to use when we go to pay it off in June.
So that's a credit to us.
Yes, yeah.
What's the Essex number based on Essex Elementary?
Well, I looked up online and it said like the project was like 25 to 35 million or so.
Yeah.
I figured that was way off.
It's gonna be-
Yeah.
I figured.
Yep.
I know that was gonna change. I just put
Yep.
something in there. for now. So I literally put Manchester Memorial in
I
there.
think it should be ending
I think it's gonna be at least 60 million
for the total.
total.
Yeah.
So,
And we're 2/3.
so we'll be 40.
40.
So
in that-
can
in
we
that scenario.
adjust this to 40?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
And I can ask for a better estimate. We're actually starting to get some estimates done on some of the different approaches.
Right. Yeah. I figured it was a little too early.
It is early,
a little
but
bit.
But,
I wanted to put something.
So,
I think our apportionment was 63 million in the last, the school budget based on January 29th.
We're talking about the building. That's
Yes, yes. It was in there on the last page of the, maybe not on your handout, but the one I downloaded from their website had 63 million for us and 32 million for Essex.
No, it's not a $90 million project.
That's what they're thinking, yeah.
That's gotta be including something else, right, Andy?
Yeah, maybe some other town's project.
So,
Andy's on the building committee and he's saying if the total project is closer to 60 million.
okay. Yeah, I just saw what was in their budget book.
And do you think that they're gonna start paying bands in fiscal year 29, or is that too early?
That's a good question. I think that might be too early. It's really.
I downloaded the latest timeline from the last reporting.
Yeah, 29's a good guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And I
Okay,
didn't do like a full bond. I just
Yeah.
figured that's like the start of
Yeah.
the project then.
okay.
Um, and then going down, total expected tax need, is what I expected. Estimated taxes that we'll need. And then the increase is, for FY 27, it's 0.21, so that's 21-cent increase on the tax rate,
Okay,
right? It's not a percentage, it's the actual like cent change to
oh,
the tax rate. So if our tax rate's 870 right now,
yeah,
then next year will be 820, like 891.
so we take these amounts and divide it by the tax rate to come up with a percentage. Okay,
And I can add that
yeah.
in there too.
Can you do that? I like to talk percentages.
Yes.
21 cents a thousand doesn't mean much to me.
That's why when I go down below further
I
under,
don't really know what my assessment is,
Mm,
but I,
I agree, yeah.
so that therefore if I have a percentage of my tax increase, tax bill increase, it just
Yeah.
registers more easily.
yes.
I mean, I don't know what my assessment is too much, but
But if you go down under estimated annual tax bill impact, I did it by like a $1 million valued house, a 2 million and a 2.65 million. Cause that's as high as the calculator went. So then you could see like on the bottom line, I put for the 2.65 million, I based those percentages below them on the change between the previous year to the current year. So from $106 per year increase to a $556 per year increase is 425%. I don't know if that really maths well,
so
explains well.
it's an additional 556 in 27. It's not, the 106 is not included in the 556.
Correct. And then it just kind of goes on from there. And then I also broke out the Essex Elementary School, what that increase impact would be, based on those all same values. And then at the bottom, I totaled both of them together. And then on the last page, I broke out each borrowing individually, so you can see if we only approve PFAS, this is what the potential tax impact would be based on, again, the 1 million, the 2 million, and the 2.65 million value house.
Does
Does that make sense?
does this show we've talked a lot in terms of when projects,
Fall off.
the bonds mature and fall off, yeah.
Yeah, I have not meshed those two together.
Okay.
yet.
Because I don't know, a year ago or more, when we were kind of talking about this, it was in relation to like, where is it now? Is it gonna go up and then it goes back down, that kind of thing.
Yes.
This is good though, thanks.
Very helpful. I mean, obviously, the cost of running the town outside of these capital items is not going down. So basically, what we're doing is saying this is just incremental on top of
The normal increase.
regular increases we're gonna
Right.
see.
And
And it does not include as it couldn't, the unknown increases.
Right.
That we may see, capital or operating,
Right.
that
But
we get.
the way I try to count it is to say the percentage increase in the tax rate, so that if somebody knows if you do the rotunda, it's a 0.75% increase in your tax rate, then that is, you know.
Right.
I think that's easier to explain than dollars. I think dollars gets confusing.
Right, because we
To
think,
people.
we
Right.
think in terms of the 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, as our assessments go up,
So it gets even more complicated.
then these go down.
Right.
So you bring CST on. And all of a sudden, it's less, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We don't complain if it's less.
So far, I haven't included any of that. I'm like, worst case scenario,
That's
like
fine.
CCT didn't
No,
hear anything like that, then this would be the most.
you mean, when they
Highest.
were originally coming in, we felt a little more confident about the timeline, and then with the whole federal grant situation, the timeline is not as secure, so I don't feel comfortable making an assumption and putting them in a difficult position.
Our bonds, which are now, as I recall, about 6 million,
Mhm.
are gonna go up to 30 million. So, it's a big borrowing, and it's not like it's
Right.
$38 trillion or something like that. It's federal government seems to be doing, but, we are burdening the future, we're mortgaging the future, which, that's life. We've got to do some of this stuff, so.
Well, and I think we did go for a number of years doing the capital exclusion instead of doing the long-term borrowing, which actually has created an anomaly in this year's tax rate, because we're dropping the capital exclusion from what was it,
660.
660 down to 250. Our normal tax rate increase is going to be closer to 2% than 2.5%.
Yeah.
Because we're backing up, so therefore, this increase, which I'm not exactly sure what the total percentage
I'll add that.
is not. I don't think it will bring us up to 2.5%. But. Right, because if I take,
I'm gonna be interested to how you do this. You're,
a 1% increase in the tax rate is 390,000, because our assessments are 3.9 billion.
okay,
So it's like
So I should be able to take
0.4% or something.
0.04%. Yeah, if you look at the million, the $42.
Well, I was looking at that 146 number relative to 390.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Up one.
yeah. So that is, you add that,
It's like 0.37.
right? That was last year, so now fiscal year 27, it's 845, which should be over 2.5%. Yeah. 390 and 390, yeah, close to 800, yeah, a little over 2%. Yeah. Oh, you're using a calculator. I didn't pull mine out.
yes,
So fiscal year 27, 2.2% for capital. And about, I think it's 2.05 or something on the normal tax rate, it's about 2%. So a total tax increase we're looking at is 4.2%.
it 28 is where you really start to like see
Boy, you
the
sure do.
real impact that
Yeah.
remains kind of constant going
Right.
further out.
Yeah, and that's where I thought you were gonna take us, because 28's up. 29.
Again, hopefully we get a grant for the culvert and don't have to use any of that. Hopefully the PFAS project comes in less than 16.5.
And remember these numbers. You would subtract out the prior year when you're talking the tax increase. So if
That's
you're
right.
talking fiscal year 28,
Right.
the actual increase for that year is the million. Which is gonna be just under 3% increase.
Right, and like Andy was saying, anything that's falling off as well,
Right,
that falls off is not included in here yet.
right. So I guess we need that falling off thing too.
Sarah, I had a high level comment.
Go
like
ahead,
my
Dean.
buddy Mike Pratt used to say. The concern, like based on past experience, we had a lot of work last year, and I felt like it was too much for our staff to adequately supervise, and too much going on in the town at once. We had identified the biggest water waste in our water conservation study as the sewer plant was using processed water to treat their water. And we designated money to do that, and they still haven't gotten around to doing it. It was supposed to go before the water mains. It was a bigger priority, but last year they did Pleasant Street, Old Essex Road, and Mill Street. And it just seemed like a lot, and we're hiring third-party vendors to help us with this stuff and paying their overhead and profit again. And it doesn't seem efficient for a town our size to be doing this much work in one season. So that's a general top down from this bond proposal that I feel.
Okay, thank you. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's my understanding that part of the reason of having some of this stuff together is to enable us to go out to bid for a larger project to presumably save money. But that doesn't necessarily mean everything would be completed next winter. And therefore, it's possible that some of the bonding would be delayed further than this.
That weird.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's true.
I mean, this is.
Yeah,
this
Like
is a-
worst case, like,
Yeah.
like if everything were to happen all at once.
Right.
Yeah.
This is she's assuming when the projects will be completed and when they'll be ready to issue the bonds. But we know things sometimes get delayed.
In some sense, you're looking at
Yeah.
the worst case. I mean, in some sense.
Exactly.
So you understand, but still the impact
Or
of that
like
increase.
I'm sorry, also, like with the rotunda, we're concerned about how much longer
It's gonna stay there.
it'll stick around, or the culvert, we're concerned that could be
Yeah.
shut down by DOT or something worse, so. I mean, to that comment, generally speaking, these recommendations are coming from the staff.
Right.
They don't gain anything by making their lives harder. They're doing it because
We need to do it.
it needs to and we just have to adjust, as far as how to get things done. It's always in the mindset of what's best for the town. Trying to think about whether costs are escalating over time or the current condition of the project, the asset, or combining them together because we can have some cost savings. A lot of different factors go into why we make these recommendations.
Chuck said he could speak to it. if you want.
And Andrea, this bands thing and bonds, that timing, you wait until it's completed and the last payment's made when you go to a bond from a band? You use bands up to the point of total completion? Is
I usually try to.
Yeah, okay.
It depends on like when the ban cycle is. 'Cause normally if like the ban cycle, say for instance, like the water, the 4.1 that we just banned. We did that last June. That's gonna end and be due in June of this year. And then I'm gonna roll it again to June of 2027. But if I know we're gonna spend the last like, 30% of it in the next fall, I'm not gonna
Right.
ban it again. I'm gonna probably bond it if it makes sense too.
I was just thinking about the power of Sarah's comment about timing. It's a very important influence on this whole
Right.
tax rate deal.
What's the difference in the interest rate we pay in a band versus a long-term bond?
It all depends. Usually it's a little bit lower.
Oh, a band is low.
A little bit lower than the bond.
That's it's been my experience lately, but it could change. And I've been told that like the larger amount that you go to borrow for, like, or, for long-term debt, the better interest rate you'll get. We've all done like smaller borrowing so far. So it's been average. So talked to some peers and they've gone out for a large debt and they've gotten like 3%. So not bad.
But by 3%, there's also a constant in a bond.
There is a constant, but
you
also
have to add
inflation
in, just like a
expectations.
mortgage.
Yeah.
You have your interest rate and then you have to make
Margin.
the principal payments. So the constant on a 4% bond may be 6.2.
Hmm. That's
So-
pretty accurate, I think. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I used to be a lender.
Okay.
So you gotta
Congratulations.
bring the numbers out into the air.
The way he phrased it, it seemed a little more than the way.
Yeah, let's say.
Yeah, okay, well,
And in these projections, I've used 4%, because when I talked to our
Yeah.
financial advisor, that's what they recommended.
put the constant in.
Hopefully it comes in low.
So Sarah, is one of your intents of tonight's conversation in an effort to the 28, 29 increases to me look very substantial. Are
Well-
you looking, was that some of the focus here to see if we could shift anything by years? And
Right,
and that's Tony's response is, we need to get them done because we need to get them done. So,
In, I Rotunda and PFAS
mhm,
and,
essential.
and Central, although hopefully we don't, hopefully either our existing brick grant gets extended or we get MVP grant money to replace it.
Mhm.
So hopefully.
Yeah.
We don't even have to borrow that money, but the reason why we're going for it now is because of what we talked about in a previous meeting and the schedule of having to have the funds and the permits in order to bid, in order to meet a certain winter season for construction.
And the fact you need to get done.
Dredging is due, it's a match to a grant. Tappan Street, my understanding, Tappan Street is a project that has been in need for, it's been passed, it's been pushed many years. Could it be pushed again? Maybe, but how long do you run that risk? Because if you have some major utility issue,
Mhm.
I've seen.
Then it's emergency.
I've seen $1 million project that only fixed 10 feet of pipe.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to avoid.
Plus, effectively, how long are you actually going to delay it? Are we talking, 2 years? I mean, because if you're talking 5 or 10 years, then you're really,
and this doesn't include any of the other projects.
risking.
This is just these projects.
Yeah,
Just
Then
FY
it's all
27.
what's that?
Then we have the other stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
other stuff.
This is above this is tax bill impact above.
Yes,
the
it's tax bill income.
Yeah, the other projects live within the.
Right, within everything.
No, I'm talking about the other
Yeah.
capital projects we have to bond,
Like
Oh.
FY 28.
Oh.
on our
capital plan.
25-year plan.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Well, and so it kind of goes back to the earlier comment about, you know, like the weight that we've been bearing, and how this kind of compares with that. Because I think, you know, as we've talked about it in the past, the goal was to try to keep it flat if possible.
It's not.
It won't be, but
No.
I mean, the school happened
It's not
sooner
gonna
than
happen.
expected.
Right.
Yeah.
There could be some comments from the taxpayers about this. Just possible. Sure.
Should I ask the question what the tax rate is when you put it all in there? I mean, you know, 2.5, the bonds and all the
What
pieces-
year are you talking about?
28. This is just what's on this page. This isn't. I mean,
This is a debt exclusion.
Right, so. yeah.
So this is assuming that our tax rate increases 2.5% a year under Prop 2.5.
yep,
And this is a debt exclusion in addition to the normal tax rate.
exactly.
Right.
And what I'm gonna do is I'll add a line on that so you can see what that extra.
Yeah, if that's the line,
Yeah.
because I'm
That
having,
line I'm missing.
that's the
But-
line
yeah.
missing.
Yeah, but I think that these numbers are big, but it's not that big an increase in a given year, and I think that's the difference.
Well, I guess I'm waiting to see that.
28 and 29.
So 28 is $1 million more than 27. And 29 is 900,000 more than 28.
But as far as tax bill impact, you may have, isn't old school debt coming off
Yeah,
in 29 or?
and that's what I thought.
32.
Oh,
That's
okay.
32.
Yeah, there's a few years where it's.
I mean,
So there's a couple other things that are coming down, but.
yeah, 32 was kind of our year that it dropped dramatically.
Oh, all right.
But it's.
Right.
I just so happen to have this little booklet with me. That didn't get left in my office, it's now closed off.
Was that last year's?
Yeah,
Yeah, looks like it.
and it's going down. So. By about $1 million a year, right? So it's a little over 6 million fiscal year 25-26. It goes down to 5.5 million in 27, and it goes under 5, and by
That's the
Correct.
over.
total debt. The
Oh, the total
existing
debt,
debt,
okay.
outstanding debt,
Yeah.
before this new stuff.
Yeah.
And by fiscal year 33, it was gonna be under $1 million of existing debt. And fiscal year 32 was 1.5 million. So it's going down significantly each year.
Sarah, I had a question on the 2.5% annual.
Yes.
Does that include added assessments from like especially CST or, you know, just, I mean, our assessment went way up between the previous year and last year, as you know, our property. And
Yeah.
does this build that into it, or is it conservative by just saying 2.5% of current salary of current?
Well, the way the calculation is done is you can increase your total tax levy by 2.5% of the prior year plus growth. So that if your assessments increase, you're calculating those dollars on a larger number. That's why our tax rate keeps going down. But the percentage is staying at the 2.5% increase because your assessment's going up.
Right, I understand it. Is that how it's, so that's how we
this-
built that in?
This does not include, this assumes a level assessment, which is valid. And it doesn't include CST because we don't know
Right.
when that will come on the book. So if CST comes on and is additional 500,000 in revenue, then that changes the picture significantly.
Mhm.
But we just, and the building fees would be about 500,000, and those aren't included in any estimated revenues because we don't know when they're gonna come in.
So this sheet might be a little bit conservative.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think I would call this pretty much the worst case scenario.
right,
Wait a minute too.
okay,
I
okay.
think, and by what you've just said.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
and I'd rather be worst case
Oh,
scenario.
I absolutely agree. I believe this is the worst case scenario, and if it occurs, there may be some of our voters who are kind of shocked by this.
We did
And it may take some time.
Absolutely.
in last year's booklet, though, we did include that, if anybody read it. We did include that 25-year capital
Good.
assumption.
I'm glad we did.
Because I came across it and I said, oh my goodness, we included that last year, but we haven't talked about it this year. I don't know where it is,
I was about to say,
Usually
can you
doesn't
point us to it?
but
It should be at towards the front.
I think,
yeah,
there's been,
page,
it seems like there's been a lot of discussion about significant future capital needs over the past few years, so
Yeah.
it shouldn't be too much of a surprise.
But the magnitude
But
of.
you know how it is.
Surprising.
bill.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we had the 25-year thing last year and it was showing 1.5%, you know.
Yeah.
What was showing
the other thing too is if you go back to, I think, like COVID years, the town has tried to offset increase in value assessments with less increase in the tax rate.
Yeah.
So for the last, there's been excess levy capacity
Yes, yeah.
almost every year, so it's kind of like the two are now happening at the same time. It's like,
Correct.
we've enjoyed the last
Yes.
few years, now it's time to.
Yeah, because we did a 0% tax increase for COVID. And then the next year, I think we did 1.5%, and then I think the third year we did 2%, right?
Right.
So we did purposely keep it down, helping people out.
But we're about to enter a period where we're gonna do 4.5%.
I don't think it's gonna be that high.
pretty close.
What do you think, Andrea?
Everything all happens at the same time, yes.
Well, I don't know in these projections, you took into account the reductions also in developing this.
No, she didn't.
She didn't, okay.
Correct.
So maybe you're right, it's not quite a 4.5.
Because if I.
But I think
this
we'll hear
8.1,
something about this.
You got 2.2, yeah. And 2 is 4 point, yeah. Well, I mean,
Does it relate at all to the
Looking
new
at-
town manager,
Well,
new town administrator?
I'm the lucky guy.
It's gotta somehow relate, right?
They knew we could handle it.
Well, say if your tax bill is 50,000 a year. It's only $2,500.
That, and not to go back to previous discussions, that's why I was weeks ago, kind of like really talking about the rotunda option of CPC, because it was one thing we could maybe move
Yeah.
aside, but that's why I was doing that, but I understand,
now,
Yeah.
just so you know,
we could
it's just,
decrease the impact on taxpayers by eliminating the 1.5% CPC surcharge.
Yes.
But then.
That would offset the
but you take it
4.5%
out of his pocket and
increase.
you gotta put it back.
No, if I'm gonna say it's 4.5% increase and I eliminate CPC,
Well, we'll end up with we won't get some of the funding that we're depending on
right.
from the CPC also. I mean, it has many impacts, countervailing impacts.
right? It's an issue of whether the projects in CPC
Right, it's, you
Yeah,
know,
all right.
are we, you know, if we're getting 17% from state, which is also our taxes. But if we take that as, you know, just like all to the good for us,
That's pretty good.
are we spending like that 17% and more on $16,000 signage?
Right.
Right, are we spending it wisely?
Exactly.
I see your point.
Yeah.
Yes.
It seems to me that for the most part, probably with the exception of the rotunda,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, the CPC expenditures have been nice to have, not need to have. So I did see something about somebody was asking to rent the Pearl Chapel weekly.
I saw the
for like
lights
$4.
on one day last week. Things are looking up.
About 750,000 of CPC funds for that. Okay.
You know, I'm on the CPC committee and I know that, you know, I'm particularly irritated with the number of like operational supplements that our town departments raid the CPC. You know, I'd like to try to build a kitty to do something at the bathhouse or a real job that residents want, but we keep getting hit with all these supplementary operational things. It's like Cheryl Marshall's, you know, little candy store. Sometimes it feels like.
So see, it's not the department's issues, it's the CPC issue. They're the ones that approve the projects. I hold CPC accountable. You can say no.
No, you're right. I mean, I dissented on some of those things, but yeah,
So.
we try to support what the requests are, you know,
Right,
that's,
you know.
yeah.
Okay. Are we
Okay,
done? Is that
so
it?
are we good?
Yeah.
I think we're fine.
It's just-
Sadly fine, but yeah, it's
So
fine.
you're gonna make these adjustments?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna add the other debt schedules and so you
Yeah.
can see
See how it,
how
Yeah,
it flows in total.
And that includes the reductions.
it's swallowing the cow.
That'll include the netting off of reductions that will happen over that period of time in bonds that, yeah.
Yeah. you can just show percentages. So
Mhm.
I'm fixated on
Mhm.
percentages.
Percentages are good.
So next week. We have our vote on CPC. Hopefully we'll vote on capital.
I thought we'd already voted CPC.
We did not take a vote, we just discussed the projects.
Right, because they were modifying.
Right, because it wasn't a final list.
Okay.
Hopefully, we have a
Do we now have a
waste
final list?
number as well.
Right, that's what I'm hoping is that we can also vote on the held budgets,
Mhm. And there are 2 or 3 of those, not a whole lot.
3 or 4.
Okay.
You got sanitation.
Yes.
You've got emergency services.
Yes.
Anything in DPW?
And 2 others.
Sanitation
I'm saying it right.
and emergency services.
They're the only ones that
Harbor?
come to my mind.
No, we passed Harbor.
Harbor, okay. I was one after that.
Yeah, that's why we passed it like that.
I think you want to keep like, I mean, I know you guys voted on health insurance, but
Oh, the health insurance, I'm expecting
wanted
we gotta
to-
circle back.
Well, the beauty of that,
'Cause
is
it's
if
gonna
Tony
come
gets
down.
down to 4%, be just great.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Or record.
I keep telling them, if you can give me a 5%
It's
increase,
14
you don't
versus
have to
50.
give me new plan structures. I'll go with that.
It's 14 versus 15. What is that? What's 1%? I can't remember the number. 60,000 or something.
Debt service we held also.
Yeah.
Because we can't really do debt service until we.
Until we
approve
deal with
capital.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. 3 lots. You were right, Peter. The ones.
Okay.
Was there also the legal and reserve fund, like we might? put
We
more
voted
into
that.
Did we vote?
No, we don't, we vote.
Oh.
Legal,
You did vote on it.
legal and other professional services we voted on, and we voted on the FinCom reserve fund. I'm kidding you, we can re-vote if we want.
No, I didn't know if it was one that we held.
No.
Oh, it's probably 4, so yeah, right.
If schools' budget comes down a little bit more and health insurance comes down a little bit more, then depending on what happens with sanitation,
Right, that's the big.
Yeah.
That's the big unknown.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
Peter, to
Yes.
answer your question, it's $18,000. It's 1%.
Okay,
From 14 to 15%.
thank you.
oh,
Sorry to interrupt.
so did people receive the minutes?
Yeah, well, I received some minutes. I looked at 2 new sets, I thought, this week. From Gail, I think it was around Wednesday we got them.
Yeah, Wednesday. I saw just one.
They looked fine to me,
I saw one for the 19th
but
of
they do
February.
reflect Maureen's comment of being very sort of short on the discussion. I mean, much longer on the way they get recorded by.
What I wanted, and we weren't, didn't seem to be successful in doing it, is I wanted a version with the detailed AI and then with the middle AI, so people could see the difference. But they had troubles generating them.
Oh.
They didn't make sense as to what it came out, page-wise, what it came out. One was 11 pages, one was 6 pages.
I see.
Um,
Well,
So are we okay with these minutes from?
I was okay with the ones that came this week. If it-
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, I only saw one. I saw
I
the
thought I
February,
looked at two.
February
There were 2
19th.
attachments. Let me go back.
Yeah. Make a motion to approve the February 19th
Minutes,
meeting minutes.
do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye,
I,
Dean goes aye, okay. We got the minutes approved. Any liaison updates or anything?
Nothing more than I mentioned.
Okay. Then. So we vote CPC, we do capital, we do health budgets. Is there anything else we need to cover next week? And then on the 12th, I have the school, I have any other outstanding town budgets and the warrant on it.
Sure.
And then again on the 19th, I have outstanding budgets.
I'll say the only,
we put a lot of placeholders there at the end of the schedule, just in case.
Yeah,
the only separate warrant article I have is for the debt for June, this June. But I'll explain next week.
okay.
It has to be a separate article because it's coming out of FY26 funds instead of FY27 operating for debt service.
Okay, we'll talk about that next week. It's complicated, we can't finish
Yeah.
it in 30 seconds.
Heads up.
That's right.
So we had 2 sets of minutes back on February 18th. They were for February 12th and February 5.
I think we
We
approved
did
those.
we did that last week.
Yeah.
That's what I'm confusing.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
is there anything else anybody wants to raise?
Okay.
Then I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
I,
thank you.
All right. See you.
night.
Night.
Mhm.